house, they made this pretty funny though.
Hey, Jenny. All right, there's a progress bar loading. So hopefully that means
I can see it live streaming now, so I think we're good.
fantastic. All right. I'm gonna finish setting up here then with the Yeah.
And somebody. I need to be able to. Okay, that is good.
Oh, great.
I'm currently sharing my screen net, but I was thinking maybe it would be best for you. But I was just putting that up since we're live.
Jenny is, oh, right. Fantastic. Thank you. Great. So you will manage the slides for the live stream, but Jenny's got slides up because the HDMI cord doesn't stretch
Okay.
to here. So we're running on two.
Okay.
Different.
Yeah, we'll have a live and then a stream. So I'll try to keep up with the slides on my end.
I'm wondering, well, no, might prove distracting then. Or I'm also wondering if we just have Jenny also join via Zoom and share. No, actually, because we're using a school computer for the slide that people here are seeing.
Yeah, and what are you doing for mics?
We've got the
Small ones? Okay. Let's keep it this way. We'll just do it where wait. Who's connected to the TV there?
Well, Jenny logged in on the school laptop.
Okay.
To have the slides up.
Okay. That's fine. So if you get the Zoom meeting on that laptop, then she can control everything. If that laptop has Zoom.
Mm-hmm. Great question. Let me check.
Cool.
But that's, I mean, it's been slightly, and that's like, yeah, we can see it. I mean, I think it's project was such a great. Yeah. And I think we're like, yeah, we're interested.
He's not here in person, but he's gonna be here virtually.
Okay. Sorry? Any drive analysis on like 911? She did. She goes further than.
Yes.
She could take care.
Actually, directly with the district.
I'm happy to. It's only like 5 minutes.
I can also send it to you. Great.
You have to 911 calls for parking violations away from the police. And so we were doing a lot of analysis on that. And he said, hey, Jenny, how are you? Yeah.
Does that other computer have Zoom?
It does, but we.
You send it to me. Send it to my Gmail account. That's what I.
Great. What?
J-A.
At
Gmail.
It does. So I'm just sending Jenny the Zoom link to see if it opens on that computer.
If that fails, we can do what our original plan was, where someone controls the slides over there, and then I can control the slides in this live stream.
Okay.
I mean, it comes in.
Jenny, here's your money.
Something.
Here's Sam's money.
Certain types of calls have changed to something.
And Nat, where's my voice coming out of right now?
Right now, it's coming out of my laptop, but
Okay.
I don't know.
the Department of Revenue.
how to amplify that there's no like sound system.
So
in here.
is there the little circular thing that you have? So
Yes.
that's a speaker. So you can change it on the computer. So that is the speaker. And that should be pretty loud.
Yeah, they presented it to the, I went down to the city council.
Oh no, that's the camera.
Share your phone. Grab some.
See, this happened in another meeting. It's not that speaker is coming
Not showing up.
No. Hold on, I'm opening up the audio. Because it's plugged in.
Good to see you too.
Oh, wait, does that work?
For everyone, it's so cold. So, you got a small work here. Yes. Nice to see you.
Can you try talking, Marilio?
Yeah, is this any different?
No.
Do you want to share your screen real quick and maybe I can see if I can try to diagnose it here from afar? If not, I'll just be attending and not speaking then, because I don't think anybody can hear me.
I'm on here.
Yeah, can you put that on mute? Sorry.
Can you please, Senora Maria, please bring the plate to the main office, Senora Maria? Please bring the plate to the main office.
All right, so go to the more volume settings, in the little bottom, and then speakers. Then it's not. Yeah, click there. And so that's okay. Go back, and then so it's let's see, capture. So right now the microphone is coming in by it can through the camera. So the can you test the microphones? Because I'm a little afraid that the microphones are not going to work.
How's this? Is this working?
Yeah, but I can't tell if I'm hearing you through the computer or through the microphone.
Right.
So if you want to step up to the back.
Can you hear Sam now?
It sounds like he's far away. I think it's just coming through the camera. Let's see. Can you scroll down where it says all devices, sound devices?
Where, oh,
Yeah. It's not picking up I don't think it's picking up the microphones or the speaker. And that is connected through what?
USB-C to a, hold on.
Sorry, guys, we're just like working through some tech issues and
There we go. It's showing up. There he goes. So you see the USB phone now. So let's go. It's showing up. So now in Zoom, don't change it here, but change it in Zoom and make the speaker. Actually,
This is not helping our cause to keep them.
let's see.
But we just need to not worry
Yeah,
about it.
in Zoom, change it to the USB phone, and as well as the microphone. Say it again.
Yeah, pretty good.
Okay, and then change the microphones too. Did you change? Because I can't really hear Sam or Jenny.
Okay.
Oh, is that you, Sam?
That's me, yes. Can you hear me?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and Jenny, can you talk?
Can you hear me?
Yes, that's great.
Okay.
And then Jenny, are you the one that's going to be driving the slides?
Yes, we've got a clicker, but I don't know how to get it
Okay.
on.
So you have it on your computer, right? Like the presentation?
Yep.
Okay, go to the Zoom interface and then go to share. And then what you're going to do is you're going to share
my
your
screen?
screen. Yeah.
Okay.
I like your vest, Sam.
Thank you. It's a gift from my husband. It's making its debut today, so thank you all for letting me show it off. Okay.
I understand.
Awesome.
Slideshow.
And we're good. You can hit that little hide button right there at the bottom, Jenny. And then you should be good.
All right. I think we
Thank you,
can call
Nat.
the meeting at 6:33, which is not too bad given all the technical stuff. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Aurelio. Are we getting feedback or anything? Can you turn to?
I don't think it's that.
All right.
Just make sure the speaker is turned off on that computer too that's in the room that we're sharing off on that. We should be fine.
I did it.
Yeah, I don't.
We're not? Okay.
It's coming through.
Great. It's coming through what? The television? All right, 1 second. I don't know how to use this thing.
Jenny, if you go back to the screen that you were just on, I can.
Not the computer. It's a different. It's the TV though.
You know, it's not that loud, and I'm gonna just ignore it.
Oh, here.
Were you able to turn it down?
Menu.
It sounds good on the live stream if that's of any consolation prize.
Okay. I think we're fine.
All right. Thank you very much.
Take two.
All right, take two, call to order. Good evening, everyone. We will convene this meeting of the 19th District Council. Can we go to the next? All right, so our agenda for this evening, we will start with roll call. We don't have any votes to take today. We'll make some announcements. A couple new sections of our meeting on some trends and concerns, public discussion on public safety or policing trends and concerns, CCPSA updates from district council members, and we'll get all through that as quickly as we can, and then get to the main event tonight, which is our discussion about officer wellness with some very special guests from the Chicago Police Department and also from our fellow district councilor Angelica Green and community commissioner Aaron Gottlieb. And then we'll end up with public comment and call it a night. So I'll start with roll call. Jenny Schaefer.
Present.
Sam Schoenberg is present. And then, do I understand, Murillo, you're going to be participating remotely?
I am, yeah.
Okay. So we will take a vote under the Open Meetings Act to permit you to attend remotely for one of the statutorily permitted reasons. Would you mind moving?
I will make a movement to vote.
Okay. I second the motion. There not being any objections, the motion passes and Councilor Murillo Garcia is permitted to attend remotely.
Thank you.
Okay. And thank you for working our tech from far away.
Thanks, Matt.
We don't have any votes today.
All right, we always kind of like to make sure that all the community groups if there's anything going on in the community that people know about it. One of the things that we feel makes a really safe, strong community are connected neighbors. So if you are part of a neighborhood group and want to share about an event that's coming up, now is the time to do that.
Everyone's too cold for events. Understood. Yeah, go ahead. I do just want to acknowledge a few folks that are in the room here. So we've got Captain Terry Forbes from the 19th Police District. Thank you for being here. We've got, in addition to Commissioner Gottlieb from the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability, we have Commissioner Gina Piemonte. So 2 of the 7 commissioners in Chicago are with us this evening. Thank you for being here.
We're OMA compliant.
Huh?
We're OMA compliant.
You're OMA compliant. If there were 3, we'd have a trouble. We've got Andre Peden from Angela Clay's office in the 46th Ward. Anyone else from any aldermanic offices? I don't think so. And everyone who came here, thank you for being here on this very cold night. It says a lot that you would show up to a meeting in person on a dark, dreary Wednesday.
Yes, we appreciate that. One cool event that I did want to make sure people know about, the Heart of Lincoln Square and Greater Ravenswood organization are showing a screening of Join or Die. It's a film about the importance of participation in your community and joining a club It's going to be held January 31st from 1 to 3 at Soldier Library. They are looking for RSVPs because there is a certain there's capacity that they could reach. So we did send out this email, and we just sent out this information in our email. So if you want it, you can look there. If not, feel free to email me, and I can forward that along to you. But that's a cool event that's coming up.
Okay, so there's now we're changing up the agenda a little bit from what we have normally done over the last couple of years, and this is conforming with district councils across the city of Chicago. One of the points of district councils is for us to be able to hear from community members about what public safety or policing trends or concerns that they have, and this meeting can be a forum to raise those issues. And the point of telling us is so that we know about it and can hopefully help you do something about it or communicate it to the police department so they can start to do something about it if it's necessary. But also that this portion of the meeting will form the information that we send up to the community commission at the city level so that they have a view of what people are saying in the 19th Police District about what the trends and concerns in this area are. The district councils are really designed to be the eyes and ears of the community to the community commission, which is this 7-member citywide body. They are part-time just like us. And so this is an opportunity for them to get some information on a regular basis from us. And we just want to allow this forum for anyone to raise some concerns. So some thought starters for group discussion here are, if there's something on your daily route, whether it's on public transit or to work or school, what's one specific change you've noticed lately that either increased your sense of safety or gave you pause? If you could redirect one safety resource to a specific trouble spot you pass, what would that be? And what would be the best solution for that? And what's maybe one improvement that's beyond the police, like better lighting, youth programs, mental health services, that might help address those issues? Those are just some thought starters, but what I wanted to do now is just to see if anyone had anything that was on their mind that they really wanted to make sure we knew about and that the community commission knew about. I open the floor. Hearing none, which is honestly probably an okay thing if nothing is directly top of mind, but we do want to be that forum for folks. So if you have something in the future, or if you know someone else who wants to bring a concern to our attention, this is a good opportunity to do that. Just some of the trends and concerns that we have noticed through our own meetings this month. Anyone in the 43rd Ward may have gotten an email from Alderman Knudsen earlier this month that there were a series of smash and grab robberies of cars along certain corridors, residential and commercial corridors. So we've spoken with his office. They're working on, they've asked the police district for additional resources, and those have been provided. They're also advocating for additional lighting and pod cameras that can help keep track of some of these areas, particularly some of these more commercial streets that right now don't have much camera coverage. So we're monitoring that. I spoke earlier this week with the CPD command staff, including Captain Forbes, who's with us tonight. And one of the issues that we've heard about consistently through our time here, and that is happening again, is there's a lot of events in the 19th Police District. There's, starting with St. Patrick's Day, but there's bar crawls, there's street festivals, there's community events, there's concerts, not to mention everything that happens at Wrigley Field during the Cubs season, concerts, and all these events are really a drain on and a use of our police resources. So our commander and captain and our entertainment division of the police district here are reviewing applications for police resources for events, trying to be a little bit more judicious about which ones get police resources, particularly the ones that are really well established, that have been around for many years, are more likely to do so. Others might need a little bit of adjustment. So those are something that we've heard from the police district on. And we also have some comp stat trends. Every week, the police department puts out some trends about the most recent set of index crimes that are being tracked. And through this week of 2026, or through week 4 of 2026, overall crime complaints in the 19th district have dropped about 31% compared to the same period in 2025. And there are some decreases in burglary and theft. But again, that's just a brief snapshot of what's happening this month, this year, as opposed to this month last year. There are some broader trends available in that report as well. But that's just one thing that we'll be tracking.
One other trend that we heard about was in the area, there were some small businesses who were just noticing people kind of loitering, not doing anything illegal, but hanging out. That normally is not a problem. Occasionally there's some escalation, and so they asked if we could help them organize a de-escalation workshop. On February 10th, we are going to be inviting small business owners that are that have like employees that are working with the public. We're holding a workshop for them about de-escalation. 1,000 Waves is going to be hosting it, and it should be a really great event for them.
Our next agenda item, which is also something that we're going to start incorporating into our monthly meetings, are updates from the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability. So this month, the CCPSA itself did not send the district councils or did not send us any specific updates to report from district councils to the community. But the CCPSA has been very active. This month, you may have heard about a meeting that the CCPSA held on January 8th that was triggered by more than 2,000 signatures from members of the public to hold a meeting on questions raised about CPD's interactions with federal immigration enforcement. We obviously had a huge onslaught of federal, I would call, invasion or incursion over the fall with ICE and Customs and Border Patrol coming into neighborhoods, not communicating where they were going to be, and there were a lot of protesters that showed up in that space. Meanwhile, CPD has a few different mandates. On the one hand, the city's Welcoming City Ordinance and also state law prohibit CPD from assisting federal immigration enforcement in their activities. At the same time, the police department has the responsibility to protect public safety, to enforce local law. And so they were showing up to these protests, and not so much in our area, but really in neighborhoods like Little Village and Pilsen, there were a lot of questions raised about how police were showing up in that moment, whether what they were doing was providing assistance, things like clearing the way for ICE or CBP officers along public roads. And I think there's just right now a lot of lack of clarity for our police department on some of the particulars about how to follow this law. And there's a lot of just anger and high emotion among community members about CPD's role in this. So the CCPSA was basically forced by the community to hold this meeting. It was a 2-hour listening session. They chose to just hear public comment for 2 hours. Emotions ran quite high. But they released a statement. Most of members of the commission, all but one, released a statement pledging to issue formal requests for information to CPD to work to clarify the appropriate body to investigate alleged violations of the Welcoming City Ordinance, and to continue with public engagement efforts. And we're going to continue monitoring that as well. The last CCPSA update I want to share is that applications are open right now to fill 3 seats on the Community Commission. And the commission has to have certain geographic diversity and certain qualification diversity. And right now, the 3 seats that are up include the 2 seats that cover the north side of Chicago, so our area, and also the 2 seats that are reserved for youth members between the ages of 18 and 24. So those applications are open right now. They will close February 6th. I serve on the nominating committee of district councilors who receive these applications, review them, vet the top candidates, and then nominate the top candidates for the commission to the mayor. We're hoping for really good applicants. And anyone, if you're interested in serving in this capacity, it is a great way to serve our city in this new institution, a powerful institution. Or if you know anyone who's interested, please let them know. And I'm happy to answer questions about that as well.
One other quick CCPSA update is that they're having their monthly public meeting tomorrow at
Malcolm X
College. A couple of things that are important. They'll be taking a vote on the nomination for the chief COPA administrator, as well as their strategic plan for 2026. They also, one of the mandates that they have in the ordinance is to write goals with the superintendent for each year. Our care working group put forward a number of goals that we worked with the mayor's office and other care leadership to create, and so those will be voted on tomorrow, and we are hopeful that they pass. Moving on to district council member updates. We have a couple to go over. More exciting news from the care team. So I serve on the district council care expansion working group alongside actually a volunteer, Linda, who's been a great help. And we convened a meeting with many of the Chicago department leadership who is involved with implementation of the care team, with the intention of really talking about how we can expand the volume of calls that are going to the care vans. We know that the volume is there and we're missing out on quite a few calls. So to begin that process, we brought in speakers and national experts from around the country, including Preston Looper, Albuquerque Community Safety Team, and Evanston Care Team, to really understand what successful models are doing and how we can kind of learn from them. One thing I just wanted to flag that I think is really impressive, that Albuquerque Community Safety Team, they call themselves ACS, responds to 4,000 calls for service a month. So in Albuquerque, the need is there. I would assume that the need is also here in Chicago, and that we need to figure out how we can work to get that type of scalable calls coming to our care team. Some of the real actionable goals that we talked about and that we're working towards from that meeting include thinking about making sure we have the right systems at the dispatch center, so that the calls are being routed from the jump to the right teams. One of the things that was talked about is when you call 911, one of the options should be like, is this a police, fire, medical, or mental health crisis? And just adding that fourth option opens up people's understanding of what's possible and helps start to get them to the right call. Another thing that Albuquerque is doing is they have a triage specialist embedded in their call center. And again, that will really help. That really helps them make sure that the calls are being routed appropriately, and then they are training the call takers and the dispatchers to understand what calls go where. So we actually just set up a meeting between Chicago leadership and ACS leadership to better understand that position and how we can try and replicate some of that. Another goal is people we need to return to self-dispatch, making sure that the care teams are able to listen in on those calls that are coming in, and being able to identify which calls are appropriate for them to handle and take those calls on their own. And then also the last goal is really making sure that we have the protocol set up, and the officers and fire and trained on what are the protocols for touching in a care team. So if they need assist, if fire or police get to a call and they say this actually is not a call that we should be handling, it's better handled by care, then we would have those protocols and have everyone trained on exactly how to do it. So it was a really impactful meeting, and I think people left excited to learn about how these other cities are doing it. And yeah, we're really part of our group for leading that. And one other really nice impact of it was in person. So it was a chance to really, outside of like the actual meeting, talk with people and build relationships. And I know the district councils that were there really got to strengthen our relationship with Lieutenant Anderson, who is the CPD lieutenant who is in charge of the care program. And we're excited about the partnership because we know that although CPD is not part of the care team, the partnership between CPD and care is really important. And so creating those avenues for the collaboration, just as CPD collaborates with fire and just as they collaborate with the call takers, that's a really important relationship to continue to grow. So another important update, the workforce allocation final report, the recommendations were supposed to come out in December of 2025. That deadline has been extended to end of January. As of just before I left for the meeting, the report still has not been released. We will let you know when it is. Yes.
Will that report be immediately available to the public? Or when you say it's going to be released, does it just get released to you guys, the police, like
So they're part of the ordinance that was created for the workforce allocation study is that once the report is released to the city, they have 10 days to publish it and put to the public. So yes. And then feel free to like jump in. Does anyone have any questions about the care stuff or thoughts or recommendations?
So the question, because we've got microphones here for those who are online, how is CARE integrated with 211?
CARE is, to my knowledge, there is no integration with 211. There is some integration with 311 and trying to understand how we can make sure all those calls get routed between 311, between 988. But I don't know that people are calling CARE for are calling 211 for mental health crisis services unless you have other.
Well, it's one of the things people call it. Yes, I mean, there are more things. I'm not sure what.
Okay. We
It's
actually.
funny, we were just talking about that this week.
Huh. Okay, that's good to know. I could definitely bring that up. Yeah, we were just talking about the 211 phone number and talking about when we can have someone come and educate our community and our students about what 211 is. Because I also think that 211 could be if you remember when one of the first things that our district council did when we started this position was made those little mental health palm cards about 988 and trilogy and thresholds phone numbers. I think having officers be able to give community that they come in contact with 211 information so that they know that that's a resource available to them could also be one of the things we heard from Sergeant Estrada at the CIT office was having those cards was really helpful to give them, like when they come across somebody who's in need, here is at least something that they can give to pass on. So we would like to think about how we can create more resources like that.
Do you know what was a reason given for why the workforce allocation study had to be extended?
We have been asking and have not been getting an answer about that. I do know that that the final report, there's a draft out there that the steering committee has access to, and we're just waiting for those recommendations to be made public so that our working group can actually dig into what those recommendations are, talk to community, understand like what are the recommendations that resonate most with community, so that we can really push forward for those recommendations to be implemented by the department. Any other questions? Okay. One final update from us is 2026 District Strategic Plan was just released. For those of you who don't know, the District Strategic Plan is something that the department does annually for the past several years to kind of outline what the priorities will be for the coming year. There are 2 meetings that are held in October and November where they ask community their opinions on what they want to see. The district strategic plan remained pretty consistent from last year. The top 3 priorities, or the top 3 things that they named were robberies, burglaries, and shootings. All 3 of these things have gone down over the past year. And they also list some key strategies, which I think is the really interesting part of the DSP District Strategic Plan. And some of those strategies that they talk about include increased foot patrols, having outdoor roll calls, and collaboration with local partners and city services. And these are things also consistent with last year's DSP, but they're all things that we hear from community they want to see happen. So we're excited to see them back on there and really wanting to think about in the future, how can we make sure that like the DSP is measuring these types of concrete goals? Like if we want to see increased foot patrol, how many foot patrol, how often is it happening now? What is the goal to increase it to? And what are the things that we are going to do or the department is going to do to increase the number of foot patrols that are happening? So the district councils as a whole, came together and created a pretty lengthy list of recommendations of what could be done to improve the DSP process. We brought it to you guys. We got some ideas from community as well. And so we are going to be working, hopefully, with CPD at the district, at the overall city level, to really dig into what the DSP process looks like for next year, so that it can focus on some of these more real specific measurable goals. We want to make sure that there's regular public reporting out of the plan, so that there's some accountability. We want to make sure that it's more than just those 2 meetings that happen that are not usually very well attended, doesn't represent all the different community that we know is in the 19th district. And also thinking about how we can make sure that the document is more like living and adaptable, and like as trends and concerns do arise in the district, maybe we can think of plans to address those things as part of the DSP. So please go. Our website is always up. Our slide decks are always up on our website. If you want to click on that, you can find the 19th District Strategic Plan.
In the current situation, doesn't in our case, the 19th District have to report on, don't they have to update already, isn't there like every quarter or every half? Don't they have to give some report on how they're doing toward the goals?
There is that is written in the ordinance. We did not see an update all last year, and when we asked the 19th district about it, we were told it was downtown, like it was stuck downtown. So
even though it was written here,
correct.
And Captain, if you want to
do quarterly updates that are mandated by the department, those are sent to headquarters and they are published. I don't know why they were not published online. If they weren't, I don't know that they weren't, but there are regularly quarterly updates that do get reported to headquarters. And what community policing does publish those.
And in our conversation, there is work done in our district to make sure that these are updated, and there's also a balance here to make sure that police command are not sort of always filling out paperwork and doing the work that the plan requires, but also trying to balance that with a community informed plan that is updated, that people can get some real information from. The district strategic plan currently also is really a 10,000-foot view of the district as a whole, some major goals, for a year. But as I understand it, Captain, please correct anything I say at any point. But police priorities shift week to week and day to day based on the actual calls for service that the district is getting, based on the trends that they're seeing. So there's a mix between these overarching goals and some of the more day-to-day operations.
Those were well.
Okay.
The strategic plan is a big overview of the problems we see over a long period of time. Those change day to day depending on things that happen. We'll have spikes in different times. So now our attention might get taken off of robberies being the number one point if we have a huge amount of shootings, because robberies are down. Now our focus will be over there. But over the year, we measure the trends and then we adapt to that. The top three that they've mentioned, those are the ones that are the most perception of that we get from the groups who come out to the meetings. And those are the ones that are the public safety issues and the ones that are getting the most attention in the media and from the community groups, that we get calls to the station to our CAP's office, calls from the alderman's office. So those are why those are picked. Those are the ones that impact the community the most visibly, and the public safety issues. So those are why they're our priority. Like I said, we are 24/7 out there addressing crime trends and problems as they're occurring. That's what we are focusing to bring those numbers down to, increase the perception of a safer neighborhood. And we believe those are the top priorities to make the neighborhood safer.
Thanks, Captain.
Captain, is there any problem with saying how many special neighborhood patrols or how many roll calls you've done, where you did that? Does that give up information that you don't want to give up?
Not necessarily. Those happen sometimes. Some weeks we'll have a couple dozen. Some weeks when there's other stuff going on, we might not have as many. It's just a matter of tracking those And usually we do track them by getting an event number on the air. Any police activity, there's an event number assigned to it. Now reporting that out to you, that takes some time. That's taking officers off the street to compile all that information at the district level. I don't know how that helps, except if you want the information. I know that information can be obtained from headquarters to have that reported to you. I'm sure if it needed to be, it could be. I just don't understand.
As you know, I'm a beat the
Right.
for 1925. This district right here, we don't have a whole lot of crime.
Right.
We got a lot here.
Yes.
And if you say we've done this, we've done over the last 3 months, we've done these kinds of things, people would like to hear that. I never get that information. And that would be really helpful to say, you know, the cops are really working hard. They did this in the last 2 weeks. They've done 2 special patrols.
I think that comes out in the crime numbers. You said there's not a lot of crime here. There's perception of crime. In the statistics will show there's not a lot of crime.
Yeah.
Now, is it going to show every step that we've done? That we had 16 officers do 24 hours of foot patrol? I don't understand how that really quantified, that really helped get anything done, taking the manpower off the street to get you those numbers. I would rather have the bodies on the street doing the work.
People in the neighborhood that the police are doing roll calls on Broadway in response to a pair of robberies that happened. Or if there were a couple of carjacks, we haven't had any of those, but stolen cars or something. And you send out a couple of cops to walk around to explain to people about that. Yes, that would have an effect in people saying, they're on the case. All they see now are cops driving around, never stop. Unfortunately, you guys, and we'll get to this with Dr. Bono, you deal with bad guys. I mean, don't deal with any good guys. Right? Those good people need to know what you guys are doing. You're doing great work.
I appreciate
And,
it.
and you need to tell people what you're doing. That's all I'm saying.
And John, that's something that we've spoken about as well. And is that, you know, the crime numbers from week to week, it can be hard to say what causes that. You know, there was a blessedly a big drop in crime all throughout the city last year. That's true nationwide as well. I am very hesitant to ascribe a cause to that, but the things that we can control are how are we using the resources that we have? How are our officers spending their time? And those are some goals that the community might want to see. And so, and Captain, I hear you as well, that, you know, all of it is a balance on the use of resources and making sure that we're not just, you know, putting resources in places for the perception instead of where they necessarily need to be. I'm hoping the workforce allocation study can help show us where we need to put our resources, and that we can publicize a little bit more and make those goals a little bit more transparent.
Excellent. That was good conversation. Thank you for everyone for that.
Yeah.
One quick thing that I forgot to announce, but it's also an exciting care update. I know there are lots of familiar faces in the audience. If you were here, I don't remember what month it was, a couple months ago, we had Dignity Best Practices come in and give a presentation about their work doing field mediation, also a non-police crisis response to incidences that needed mediation. They had a grant up looking for a city or municipality to give technical assistance to, and we helped connect the city of Chicago to Dignity Best Practices, and Chicago was recently accepted to receive that grant. So we will be receiving 15 months of technical service from Dignity Best Practices. So that is an exciting update to share.
Yes.
All right, no more updates.
There's actually one more quick update.
Just quick update, and I'll take this one. So as you all are familiar, the community partnership plan is hyperlocal goals that we worked with community to develop. They've grown to 54 goals, as you can see in the second to last line there. We're at 91% in terms of in progress, ongoing, or completed, 5 of which have not been started. You can see a lot of zeros and no movement over the last 2 months, but that is because, as Jenny was just mentioning, and Sam, if you can go to the next slide, or Jenny, go to the next slide, we've been doing a lot of work around these 2 different initiatives that you have heard us talk about at length, the parking violations initiative, in which we are advocating for diverting 911 calls related to parking violations to the Department of Finance instead of CPD. We actually have a special meeting dedicated to that tomorrow. We took a little bit of a pause given the budget priority that was happening in city council at the end of the year last year, and we're ready to pick it up now that things have calmed down. So we're going to be moving on that to make that a reality soon. And then I just want to take some time to applaud and recognize Jenny's work, because as you can see, the 9.4 goal is to advocate for the expansion and permanent funding for care. And she just gave 2 amazing updates in which we have a grant in which is going to fund the continuation of care. Had a bunch of different leaders around the nation come together to talk about the best practices and how we can implement that in Chicago. As you can see, she's been hard at work, and I just want to thank Jenny on the record for all the work that she's put in, because we've been working on this for 3 years, and she's really spearheaded it over the last 2.
Thank you, Mariah.
All right, that's it for me.
Thanks, Marilio. And now to our main event. Thank you for being with us for all our updates. But the main topic that we wanted to cover tonight is police officer wellness. What I have up here on the screen is it's a slide that we've used pretty consistently over the last couple of years, which encompasses some of what we think of as our district council pillars to optimizing use of our police force and optimizing good policing in the city. We spent a lot of time talking about things like officer allocation, increased civilianization, alternative response, but officer wellness has always been one of the boxes here, and we get to highlight it tonight. I'm sure everyone here is already on board here, but officer wellness is important and matters for a number of reasons. Policing is a hard job. As the CPD consent decree, I thought, put it well, that CPD members expose themselves to significant danger, high stress, and a wide spectrum of human tragedy. They're often seeing people at their worst, and often not getting the most courteous response. And there's a lot of trauma that can be involved in that. And there's a willingness to expose oneself to violence or to the darker side of human life. So that comes with personal cost. Healthy officers are important, not just so that they themselves can be healthy, but it also can impact how they're treating other members of the public, whether their judgment is considered and measured, whether they're being courteous themselves, and it can, unaddressed officer wellness issues can lead to crises and disciplinary issues, including things like substance abuse or physical abuse, or even self-harm, which can be really tragic. And our officers, of course, are our neighbors. Like, there is a requirement that Chicago police officers live in the city of Chicago. They are our fellow Chicagoans. They're employees of the city of Chicago. And so we owe them as well the resources they need to make sure they have long and healthy careers. That's why officer wellness is a major part of the CPD consent decree. There are several consent decree goals that are focused on officer wellness. There has been really good news over the last reporting periods that the independent monitor noted that the city and CPD has made significant progress toward those goals. And as of the latest report, the wellness program is quite expanded from what it was just a few years ago, including 21 mental health clinicians, 6 drug and alcohol counselors, 6 chaplains, and over 200 peer support members. That was as of several months ago. I mean, the numbers may have changed now, but now we get to hear from a couple of the folks who are key to those reforms. And I want to welcome up Dr. Robert Sobo, who's the director of CPD's Professional Counseling Division, and Michelle Strazante, who is the clinician here in the 19th Police District who works with officers here in the 19th. And I want to give up our seats so that you can
Do you want to sit or do you want
to sit? Yeah, standing fine. I just want to make sure that, can we see Marilio?
We'll need to move the camera towards Sam.
Okay. But we're so glad to have you here, and thank you so much for joining us.
Sure, thanks for having us. This is a great opportunity for us to be able to talk to you about what we offer Chicago Police Department members and their families, and address any questions and or concerns that you might have. So I'm Rob Sobo. I'm the director of the Professional Counseling Division, and this is Michelle Strazante. And let me tell you a little bit about what we have in place. I am proud to say that currently we have the most comprehensive mental health services for our department members in the nation. With the hiring of 3 clinicians that we just made, we now have 27 licensed clinicians We are in 3 different locations, one on the far south side in Beverly. That's our south side. For me, it's another country. One on the northwest side, in Cumberland, near the airport. And then we have a central location, which is by the United Center. We have 27 licensed clinicians. They offer counseling services to all Chicago Police Department members and their families, individual, family, and couples. We have a trauma program, which is called the TISMP program, and that means our officers come in for mandatory debriefings whenever a traumatic incident is noted and recorded. They have 72 hours to come in for that mandatory debriefing. They cannot go back to a tour of duty until they have met with a licensed clinician for a debriefing. After that debriefing, recommendations are made to them for follow-up for any clinical services. And if for some reason it's decided with the officer and the clinician that maybe it's not a good idea for them to yet return to the streets, they go on to the medical until they reach a point where they have recovered, not just from the trauma itself, but are really going back to the street with, learned coping mechanisms. So we like to return them in better shape than when they came in. We have 6 sworn officers who are drug and alcohol counselors. They provide 13 no cop-out meetings throughout the city. And no cop-out meetings are AA meetings for law enforcement and family members. They are also responsible for traveling all over the country to look for intensive outpatient programs and inpatient programs for any sort of alcohol use or drug use issues, or any process disease issues like gambling, sex addiction, anything that compromises well-being and functioning. We have a chaplains unit, which is, I believe, 6 chaplains of different denominations. They provide spiritual and religious counseling and different sort of services annually to recognize different important anniversaries, the loss of an officer, Father's Day, Mother's Day, different celebrations, funeral services, and those sort of things. As I said, we're in 3 different locations. Each location is equipped with clinicians, peer support members, chaplains, and drug and alcohol. The phenomenal thing about us having 3 different locations is it means that our officers and family members have easier access to support services, because going for support services should not be stressful or difficult. It also means that when we need to go out to a scene in order to address a trauma or things that are currently going on, we're there quickly and efficiently and can address any immediate needs that have to be taken care of. So that, in a nutshell, is what we have. I think I skipped our peer support program, which is over 200 sworn and some civilian members of different ranks, and their job is to lend their expertise, their backgrounds to other department and family members in time of need. It could be grocery shopping. It could be sitting with the family at a hospital. It could be the unfortunate loss of a child, and maybe one of our peer support members has gone through that, so they help other family members through that process, modeling for them and being a support system, as they go through difficult times. And that is also under the police department. Every district, which we have 22, has their own assigned clinician. Michelle is the 19th district licensed clinician, and their job is to really incorporate themselves into the unique character and culture of each district. Because each district is different. It serves a different community. It has different sort of calls. So Michelle will go to do roll calls. She will address any specific stressors or incidents that may be going on that are affecting the men and women and department members in the 19th district. So she becomes part of the fabric of the 19th district and can help address whatever needs that have to be met over at the 19th district. So that's one thing that is really special about the way we are set up. And it's important that each one of our clinicians has an assignment to each different district. Anything to add?
No, I think you covered almost everything. I believe you. Great. Thank you. Thank you for introducing us, and thank you for having us as well. A little bit about me. I am out of the north side location. We are mobile, so we do at times go to the south side location or the central location when needed. But I am mainly out of the north side location. A little bit about myself. I am with the police department about 2 years, going on 2 years now. Prior to that, I did work for the city as well. So I did the exact same thing, but for the other departments within the city I supported. So streets and sanitation, aviation, human resources, basically every other department within the city I supported through EAP in City Hall when I was there for a little over 2 years when I was there as well. And then before that, I was in private practice. So which now is 27 clinicians, I think you said, we all bring something different to the table, which is amazing. A few of us, I'm Polish, so I speak Polish language. I'm able to hold therapy sessions in Polish. We have Spanish speaking as well. So everyone, all the clinicians bring something different to the table. And like you mentioned, every district is different. So we bring different things to the districts. I mean, it's a beautiful melting pot, and it's absolutely, I love what I do. I love going to work. People ask me like, oh, going to work and how is it? And I truly, truly love it. And I'm not just saying that. I love working within the police department, within the city, and building that trust with police officers and their families, whether it's with them or their significant other or their child. It's very organic, and it's a great thing to see of how we can build that trust within them, along with a really early intervention too. I mean, really focusing on that trust, building that trust with them, and having that early intervention is really key here too.
The goal of the Special Counseling Division isn't just to restore well-being, it is to strengthen well-being before well-being is compromised, because it's unfortunate, but the likelihood is that every officer will not just experience a traumatic event in their career, they will experience several. And so your well-being going into an incident can dictate how well you come out of it, how fast you come out of it, and really bring down the symptoms that come with the consequences of the job. So we're not there just to help people recover. We're there to help build character and strength and resiliency. And then when it is compromised, get them back to that place, but also strengthen it so that they leave, stronger and well. Because of course, an officer who is doing well physically and psychologically is better capable of serving the community that entrusts them to help protect them. It's great that we have all of these services and all these clinicians with these different expertises and backgrounds and these 3 locations, but without utilization, what would all of that be? What would it mean? It would be meaningless. It's kind of like having a great set of tools, but if nobody takes the tools out to utilize them, what good are they doing? Imagine the justification, the financial justification for 27 licensed clinicians. In order to do that, we have to provide statistics of utilization. Our utilization is extraordinary. The majority of our police officers come in on their own accord because through roll calls, through public speaking like we are doing today, through the various trainings that we do throughout the department every week, we've become familiar and entrusted part of the department. So our officers do trust in our services and do come in to take care of themselves because they know that it's not just their responsibility for their own well-being, but for their family members as well, and you all, the community that they serve. Our drug and alcohol counselors have great utilization. Our peer support members, our chaplains unit, all have very high utilization numbers. So what that means is what we're doing is actually working. I know there's a lot of talk about stigma and that police officers aren't likely to come in for mental health, but you know what? I'm not so sure that's true. And when I hear different department members, different departments talking about that, my response is, well, you have to do more to be trusted. And I think we've proven that that can be done very successfully, and I believe we have done that successfully and will continue to. You know, mental health in society has stigmas. So of course it does within law enforcement as well. But we've come a very long way. When the decree came out and we became formally under the decree, and I think that was in 2017, we were going from 3 licensed clinicians for, I think back then it was 13,000 employees plus family members. Officer wellness was not a term that was recognized yet. It was not supported, and certainly putting financial resources into that was something that was not recognized or appreciated. It's come such a long way, and now nationally, if not internationally, it is a very important component to law enforcement. So much so that at all of the national and international conferences, IACP, the International Association of Chiefs of Police, there is a heavy concentration on officer wellness. And as a matter of fact, I've presented there a number of times to sort of talk about what we've been able to implement there. So I want to take a breath and see if there are any concerns or questions that you might have for us. Yes, sir.
You kind of answered it when you started talking at the end about utilization. I'm wondering how easy it is for the police officers to take advantage of it.
Good question.
Can it be done in confidence? And are you seeing this utilization grow? I mean, you're saying it's at a very high level, but is it increasing as well? Are you getting more and more traction as the longer you do it?
Good questions. And so every year our statistics have grown. And so much so that we are now 27 from 3. Our officers can come. We are available 9 to 5 in all 3 locations, but we always have a clinician, a drug and alcohol counselor, a peer support member, and a chaplain on call 24/7, because the police department is a 24/7 organization. So what that means is we respond to emergencies or crises. Could be at 2 a.m. we go out and we are available, because frequently there is an immediate need for our support services. So we go out 24/7. Many of our officers are allowed to come out, you know, during a tour of duty, because we want to encourage them to take care of themselves. So easy access and support comes from the top all the way to the bottom. Did I catch all that you were saying? Yes, ma'am.
You said after a traumatic event, officers are mandated to be a therapist. So what would be considered a traumatic event?
That's really a really good question, because the reality is, what is trauma? Trauma is subjective. If the 3 of you were in the same incident, maybe it was only traumatic for you, sir, and not for the 2 of you. But in order to make sure that all 3 of you are well, all 3 of you would come in for a mandatory debriefing, because nobody's ever been hurt by a debriefing. And of course, a debriefing is, like all of our services, not only confidential by general law, the laws of HIPAA as well. So there are different categories that our command staff learn about through trainings to recognize when an incident should be categorized as a traumatic event. Threat to loss of life, bodily harm, being involved in an incident where they themselves view something that is traumatic, such as could be a suicide, could be going to a domestic where there are children who are found to be having been, abused, and maybe those officers have children around the same age. Things that any human being would naturally have a reaction to. The goal is to make sure that our officers don't walk away from these injured and continue onward in life. Yes, sir.
We all appreciate that part. Where would you rank excessive overtime? The driver, that it all show up as the driver for a mental health?
Certainly does. I mean, I don't know facts, but you could assume that the more hours spent on the job, the more fatigue, the more stress, the more time away from home. So personal issues, professional issues tend to accumulate under certain circumstances. So yes, that could potentially, of course, contribute to well-being. The other thing that we have that our officers take advantage of is we have what is called a voluntary wellness check-in. And what that means is that all of our officers and civilian members can come in once annually for basically a checkup. Just like you hopefully do, you go to your physician for a physical. We encourage our officers to come in for a mental health checkup. And during that half hour, we sort of go through an assessment with them. What's going on the job? What have you been through? And what's going on in your personal life that maybe you should attend to? After that, we talk about it with them for a little bit. We make a few recommendations. And then the incentive is the rest of their tour of duty is theirs. They're off for the rest of the tour of duty. And we have found that not only have officers appreciated that offer, they take it, but for many of them, it's the first time they've ever sat down with a licensed clinician, and having experienced it, a significant percentage of them come back, which is exactly what you want a program like that to have an impact on, and we're seeing that in great numbers.
Jenny?
Just to kind of piggyback on that question and like systemic things that you might be seeing, like a too much overtime, or one of the things that we talk about from the workforce allocation study that they're trying to address is like the supervisor to police officer ratio, and like maintaining that consistency for mental health. Is there any process that you guys have for which, like, if you identify things that you can like push it upward to kind of create system level change that will alleviate mental health triggers that you're seeing across the department?
So we track, everything is data driven as it should be in CPD, and the same goes for us. So our weekly stats include what we're seeing, what we're doing, and what we are responding to. We report those on a weekly basis to exempt members and the Office of Constitutional Policing. And then on a monthly basis, we have a meeting with the Attorney General's office, the Inspector General's office, the IMT, which is the independent monitor, and we discuss on a monthly basis, what do our stats look like? What are the trends? What are we seeing? What are we responding to, so that we can see that anything particularly that might be going on in a particular week or month, what kind of impact is that having on the population within the department? Yes, sir.
So you mentioned witnessing a suicide earlier, and there's a question today where public health. I'm not representing them, I'm just a person here, but also I know a lot about the topic. Suicide is the third leading cause of death of officers in the United States, and we arm our officers with a weapon which they could basically complete suicide or have a fatal suicide attempt if they want. How do you address weapons carrying amongst individuals who are at high risk? The veterans population, the VA hospital has places at times where they can surrender their weapons to third parties. Is there any such kind of
Same thing for CPD officers. Yeah, it's the same process. Yes, sir.
We've got time for about one more question. And
Kind of similar, but for the post-traumatic event mandated sessions, are you then responsible for reporting back in some form that the officer is okay, not okay?
That's a good question. Yeah.
How do you close the loop or whatever, or do you?
So that's a good question, and the answer is basically no, because you cannot offer clinical mental health services in the same office that you do fitness for duty. Because if you did, why would any human being whose job could be impacted by coming in, trusting you to talk about openly what they are suffering from, what's going on in their life that could possibly have any negative consequences? So we protect very closely the sanctity of that relationship of our clinician, our staff members, and the department and family members that come see us. Now, remember, we have the same reporting duties as police. So under certain circumstances, we are legally obligated to make certain reports, but we do not do fitness for duty. Very important.
with that, thank you very much, Dr. Sobo. Thank you, Michelle. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We really appreciate your work.
Anytime.
Thank you for having us.
And we are now moving, we have even more speakers about officer wellness because there have been our colleagues on other district councils and also the community commission have been working on what other gaps in our officer wellness process do we need to look at. Sure. Thank you very much. And I want to welcome Community Commissioner Aaron Gottlieb and our colleagues Green, the 25th Police District, who are going to present on some of their work that they've been working on from the Community Commission and district councils. And at the end, hopefully we'll have some time for some additional questions. So hopefully we'll have some opportunity for that.
Do you guys want, this is the, to click forward and back.
Oh.
Do you want to sit or stand?
Oh. What do you want to do, sit or stand?
Stand.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to
I can handle the slides if you'd like.
Okay.
That would be great.
Okay. If you want to stand here, then you can
Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you all for the invite. Thank you all. We appreciate the work that 19 is doing. Congratulations, by the way. And sharing this space with us, Dr. Sobo and Michelle. Before we begin here, we have a brief overview.
Yeah, so backward overview. Yeah, so we're gonna just begin introducing ourselves briefly and why we got involved in this. We're gonna discuss proactive officer wellness. We'll go very briefly into issues around policing and wellness since that was covered a lot during the last presentation. We'll sort of briefly discuss some of we call it the elusive suicide number. We'll get into that a bit, and then we'll talk about the road ahead in our work. So.
I'm Angelica Green. I'm one of the 25th Police District Council members, and that's 5555 West Grand. We serve as Humboldt Park, Avondale, Hermosa, Belmont, Cragen, a small part of Austin. A little bit about me: I'm a woman of faith. I'm a woman of God. I'm a mother, community activist. I have a youth program, and my main job is working with youth and adults with special needs at Misericordia for 22 years.
Yeah, and I'm Aaron Gottlieb. I'm one of the commissioners on the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability on the North Side, and I'm a professor, I'm a researcher, I'm a social work researcher, so I care a lot about mental health and wellness, and I've just been thrilled to get the chance to work with Angelica on this project.
Look at that picture. Okay, so I work as district counselors, and commission is formed by the ordinance that created our roles. This mandate drives us to represent the interests of the city as a whole in hopes of providing holistic and informed solutions to public safety issues. Officer wellness is an important issue to myself and Commissioner Gottlieb, not only because it's important, but overall personally for me when asking, I have family members who are young that we ask to come onto the force to help shape and what that culture looks like for the police department. Simply put, we cannot have public safety if officers are not doing well. They cannot do their jobs as they are supposed to, and they cannot serve the city responsibly if they're not doing well themselves. Unlike a lot of other issues in public safety, this is an issue that cuts through political differences. Working on this issue gives me hope because it's important, and it is to see each other's humanity and to advocate for the vulnerable regardless of who they are. So let's start with a quick recap that leads me here. Okay, understanding the commission and the DCs and the opportunity to lead on this issue. I got to work. So in 2024, I presented my peers a proactive officer wellness proposal that asked the commission to explore ways to implement supportive systems that would allow us to reach officers who struggle with mental health earlier. One key part of my proposal was the suggestion to explore the benefits of mandatory annual wellness checks for all CPD officers. This priority proposal ended up receiving approval by a majority of district councils and became part of our first priorities presented to the commission. You can read that proposal online if you'd like to do so.
Oh, awesome. So so we kind of discussed this a lot. Well, we didn't discuss it, it was discussed in the prior presentation. But yeah, policing is a very challenging profession. Officers observe traumatic things. They also have difficult scheduling challenges and work really hard. So mental health issues are not surprisingly something to be concerned about. Officer suicide is of course the most tragic example, and as Angelica said as well, we care about this issue because of its impact on officers, which is absolutely critical, and also because of how it shapes people's ability to do their job as well, and how that affects communities more broadly.
Okay.
And then, you may have heard some different numbers about suicide rates among officers. I think the way I would think about this is I would, rather than focus on a specific number, because there are some significant data issues, and I could get my researcher hat on, but I will avoid kind of going that route. I think it's fair to say that this is still an important issue that needs to be addressed. So as recently as 2022, we saw 7 officers, unfortunately, take their own lives. It's actually really hard to know across the board and how this compares to other departments because the data is self-reported by the departments. It's not required necessarily to be reported. Who knows how well it's being reported? So I think it's kind of fair to say we've seen enough examples of suicide occurring, but trying to put an exact magnitude on it is difficult.
Experts in the field do agree that wellness checks, evaluations, or other ways of getting eyes on everyone help alleviate the problem. However, there are some of the challenges that creating solutions. We are really encouraged to know the problems like peer support, counseling, and annual wellness checks, and increasingly commonly amongst jurisdictions. And that, as you heard, they are part of CPD's work, which Dr. Sobo and Michelle mentioned. Early identifications is also a growing part of the work.
Slide, please. So getting to Angelica's proposal. There are, we have not found many departments that mandate annual evaluations, but a good number of departments are providing access to optional annual mental health wellness assessments, just like CPD is, which is great. Some are even taking the best practice approach of asking officers to connect with doctors and not just mental health professionals. We did find one place, at least, where there is a mandatory annual wellness visit, and that's in Fairfax County, Virginia. We certainly want to look more into the program, but it's possible it's happened. We definitely want to learn more about what the impacts of that have been. But yeah, but again, like we're pleased in general that this practice of even the voluntary visits are increasing. And a big priority for us, like we think the programs that exist are great. We want to make sure that officers are touching these programs and participating in these programs. So the issue for us is not that the programs aren't doing their jobs, it's about making sure they're utilized to the extent they're needed.
Sadly, we won't spend too much time talking about early warning systems. But in short, they are data-driven ways to help identify officers who might be struggling, who are likely to struggle in the future. Again, Dr. Sobo, thank you for covering that. Places like New York City have used these systems for years and years, and theirs is similar to Chicago for years, and there's a lot to learn in the positive and negative experiences. We do know that CPD is in the process of creating an EIS system for Chicago, and that it was taking longer than expected. So, okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Dr. Sobo just basically did our whole thing. So, get you after this. Next.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes.
So I will just say one thing on the wellness. I do want to raise this. So you heard earlier about the commission's goals. Last year, we did have an early intervention system goal. Unfortunately, as District Councilor Green mentioned, progress has been slower and that goal wasn't met, but it's something that we as a commission are focused on, and we're pleased that it's in the consent decree and that CPD wants to do it, but we're looking forward to it coming to fruition.
And maybe if I can just mention quickly, like just to explain these proposals to the commission and the goals. So every year, under the ordinance that creates both district councils and the community commission, every year the district councils are permitted to send a list of priorities to the community commission to focus on for the coming year. And so the work that Angelica and Aaron are presenting now grew out of a proposal that Angelica wrote and passed through the district councils to the commission to focus on officer wellness and to do so in some specific ways. And so that's why they've dug into this issue and have done the research that they have and are advancing this issue. Separate from that, every year the community commission, under the ordinance, can set goals for the superintendent of the Chicago Police Department, the chief administrator of COPA, the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, and the president of the police board. So those goals don't have to be met, but the idea is they're supposed to be. And the idea is that the commission, which is the voice of the community and has some oversight over these bodies, can set goals for their leaders and work on them together over the course of the coming year. And so those are the differences that different kind of structures that are in place here.
Thank you.
Next steps. Community is at the center of what we do, and we need your help. When officers struggle, it affects the community, and we think that adding community voices to this topic can help advance the issues of officer wellness. We are planning a continuation of this conversation in another public forum. Details are still to come. Again, this proposal, and thank you, Sam, for saying all that came because as we have young officers, myself with very young family members coming on, we want to make sure that these numbers do not continue to climb, that the services are utilized and have something that's mandatory in place for all.
And real quick on this as well. So TISM is a really important program. It's one that Dr. Sobo mentioned, and again, we think it's a critical program. We're pleased that there's been some progress on it towards the consent decree, but still there is not full compliance. And my understanding that the issue is largely around identifying people and making sure that everyone who needs it gets it. So that's something we're also focused on making sure occurs. Again, our emphasis is sort of not on, we think the programs themselves are great. We just want to make sure everyone who needs the program gets it.
Yeah. And in closing, our QR code is not up there, but ultimately our mission is to promote proactive officer wellness in conjunction with what y'all are doing. Officer wellness will continue to drive our work. As members of the community, you can help us. Please scan this QR code, get more information. And we do have a little, if you are having thoughts of harming yourself or feeling suicidal, please call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline at professional counselors are also available to chat at suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, and we're happy to
Thank
take
y'all.
questions at their time. Yeah, go on away.
Sorry.
I think, does anyone have any questions that they would like to offer? And there might also have been some questions that might have been directed to Dr. Sobo or our 19th District Clinician, Michelle Strazante, if anyone has any others. Linda.
Thank you for the presentation. Given your presentation, Dr. Sobo, where do you think is the biggest gap that needs to be addressed right now in officer wellness?
I would like, she said, given our presence, our proposal, and what Dr. Sobo was presenting, where do we feel like the biggest gap is at? So for me, any suicide is one too many, right? Any officer, anyone who died by suicide is one too many. I would like to see that number not climb again. And when I hear the stories, it's heartbreaking to me, and I want to see these great services that they have in place. I would like to know that they're being utilized. I would like for officers to trust that what they have in place, that they can go there. I want them to be able to feel comfortable. And so I can't really say what the biggest gap is. I guess that's why we're starting. I would like to have these panels and involve community and continue to work with the police department to determine what that gap is.
And I would just to piggyback on that, I mean, Angelica said it great, but I think sort of just making sure that if one person needs a service and doesn't get it, that's one too many. But making sure that as many people who need mental health services, who are officers, have access to them. I think that doesn't mean that there isn't an incredible job already being done, but there's always room to keep improving, and I think that's.
Say one other thing about mental health services.
Can I give you this microphone while you say it?
It's a very important component. The public is a very important component to officer wellness.
Mm-hmm.
Your appreciation, recognition of them, a thank you, just in terms of what they and their family members sacrifice, goes a long way. They are your neighbors. Their kids go to school with you. They work here. They eat here. They go grocery shopping, use the restaurants. They are part of the community. Recognition and support is an enormous part of officer wellness. So besides the internal programs that we have, it also needs the community to recognize the important part that you all play in determining how well our officers are by what their experiences are as they interact with the public on the street every day.
John?
Dr. Solo, I'd like to ask you, as far as the proactive work, the early intervention program that you mentioned here, we're spending, all of us here in this room and everybody, tens of millions of dollars every year on police misconduct. Is there any way, is psychology to a point where folks who are police officers who are under tremendous stress might misbehave? Is there any way to predict that with any realistic?
That's a little over my head. Again, it goes back to the EIS system and program that they're still working on. The part that we play in it is that, we have mandatory trainings for all FTOs, sergeants, captains, lieutenants, commanders, and above. And during those times, we talk to them about their responsibility in recognizing when their officers need support. And the only way to do that is for them to know the men and women that they supervise and to pay close attention to their baseline and when that baseline of behavior changes and what they are responsible for doing to get them whatever support services they need.
Yeah. Can I just say something on the EIS real quick? So, I think any sort of intervention system like this that's data-driven is probabilistic, right? So you're not going to necessarily some people are going to show up who may not like actually need help at that moment. It might occasionally miss people, but I think it's still on balance has the potential to identify people who are at risk. And I think having, well, at least this is my view, is that sort of, even if there are cases where occasionally like the system doesn't perfectly get it right and someone who maybe isn't at risk is identified, having them have a mental health check is not a punishment. Right, so like I still think it's a useful tool even if it's not perfect.
I've got another one. I'm sorry, Andrew. Go on. No, you get it. How many, Doctor, what percentage of the 11,900 officers, what percentage interact with your office in any given?
I don't know the percentage. Of course, we do have the numbers because we have to turn those in every week, every month, and then there is an annual report to the superintendent that covers all of that. I don't know them, offhand.
And my last question is to Michelle. Michelle, is there any change that you can see in the way that police work, the way their job is, their day-to-day job, that would improve their mental health?
From us or?
Yeah, can you see in talking to all the stressed out cops you talk, is there anything you think about their job that could be improved, that could be changed, and the result would be an improvement in their mental health?
Yeah, and I think we're doing that. I think we're doing that with the mental wellness days that we offer, the one a year that they get, the services that we offer Monday through Friday that they're able to come in if they want to, come in once a week, they're able to. So absolutely, I think we're doing it slowly but surely. We're absolutely doing that, improving the mental health and building that trust within the department with them, and being there for them.
Job, they do the day-to-day.
Yeah, that is like on a systemic level. Like part of what I was saying about and I think you mentioned this too, like the consistent supervisor. That seems like one really important, like early detection piece.
Knowing their baseline, absolutely. Yeah. And it does, and it all plays a huge role together. All the puzzle pieces come together, and it does, in a positive way, it does affect the officers in their day-to-day jobs. They think clearer, they sleep better. Their sleep improves, their eating habits improve. And there's many variables here, right? And yeah, there definitely is improvement. And we hear it from them. We hear it from the bosses.
And to put it just a little bit more directly, Dr. Sobo and Michelle, just curious, because a lot of our work is understanding where police should focus their time the most. And to Dr. Sobo's point about feeling appreciated, there are often times where officers are asked to respond to parking violations, to respond to noise complaints, to respond to dogs off leash. These things I don't assume are what they signed up to do. So I guess one of the things that I think John might be getting at is there an opportunity for us to better hone in what their job description should be so that they feel like they're making, the progress and the impact that they signed up to do?
I'd rather refer, that an answer to that to somebody who's really more of an expert in terms of what officers are responsible by definition for, what the bargaining units, say their job fulfillment duties and responsibilities are. That's a very complicated issue, and one that I'm probably not the best to answer.
I have to say that one of the things I heard earlier, I think you were mentioning how the crime in 19 is not very significant. Like you guys do well with your crime. So I'm in 25. I don't know if you guys heard me, Belmont, Craig, and Hermosa often. So officers see different things. I was telling the commissioner here that on the 4th of July, you guys may have heard that it was a woman who stabbed her kids, killed her kids. So it was an officer who had to carry a baby and fold them in half outside because the intestines was coming out. That's hard to hear. So imagine, seeing that. And so just to know, like, I don't know what that, and again, I talked to my commander and the officers and, check in and say, like, what does that look like? How are they feeling? Like, did they go see someone? And I don't know if it was like an extended, if they kept going, whatever the case was, or if they had to go to another call. I do not know, but we do know that there are, like I know you mentioned, like a lot of the stigmas are not necessarily true, but we do know that there are myths. Some of the myths we heard was that, oh, if I go and get these services, then I might lose my FOIA card. That's not necessarily true. That officer will, if they go and get more support, more services, that they'll lose their FOIA card. We were able to find that out. So I think cracking down on myths, and I know you said it's not a lot of stigmas, but there are, and I think it varies, you know, depending on where you are. So Chicago is like a mixed popcorn, right? No matter what I'm doing, I'm listening to everything, and in some areas I go, and their biggest crime is the parking tickets. I would love to hear that in 25. That's not the case for us, right? It's really bad. We not only faced with ICE, you know, you heard of a woman who got killed on her way to prayer service. You know, a woman to face, that hits, you know what I mean? So imagine being an officer and I seeing that and hearing that. So it's different. I won't hold you guys with time because I can go on and on. You can come very you guys stay engaged because I got the stay engaged. Ask people to come to the listening services. We're going to be, you know, throughout the city because we want community to have input on this and have say and work with Chicago Police Department, Dr. Subway Michelle, with these issues. So thank you guys for having us.
Thank you so much. Very much. Back.
Well, I think the last thing we have is just public comment. If you have, does anyone have any public comment to make? I think the rest of the audience, everyone here appreciates that. Okay. We always want to hear public comment, so feel free to email us, reach out to us however you can. We are always wanting to talk with you guys and hear what's on your mind.
Yeah, and just a big thank you again to Dr. Sobo, Michelle Strazante, Angelica Green, and Commissioner Aaron Gottlieb. We really so appreciate you taking the time to be with us to answer all these questions. If you did not get your question answered, let us know and we can pass it along or make sure that it gets to the right place. But thank you so much for being here and educating. I certainly learned a lot, and I think we all did, so we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Other reminders? I'm not sure that we have any other reminders.
Maybe this is our next meeting.
Yep. Thank you to our hosts here at Devil Horse School. Thank you for accommodating the location change. Thank you to our community outreach coordinator, Nat Duran, for finding this location and getting it set. Thank you, Nat.
Yeah, thank you for
Our next meeting is going to be Wednesday, February 25th at Uptown Church, 6:30 p.m. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
So this is like 20 minutes from my job. This is so cool. Okay.